Hey guys, Tim here with Two Feathers Survival. Had a beautiful range today in sunny South Carolina. We're actually on the backside of a piece of property where the Tuskegee Airmen used to fly their aircraft. Very historical flyers. Very honored to be here on this property today and be able to see some of that history that was here. What I'm going to talk to you today is a little bit about firearms and firearm safety. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and take my handgun, which is loaded. I'm going to sit it right there. Now, I'm going to wait for it to go off. Well, we all know that that's not going to go off in the condition that it is right now. Even though there's a round in the chamber and it's all in all actuality ready to fire, I have a full magazine in that weapon. There's a round actually chambered into the breech of the weapon. The firing pin is actually set to a condition that it could fire, but it's not going to fire because I, a human, haven't gone up and interacted with that weapon. That's what we're going to talk about some today, gang. Firearm safety. I'll go ahead and pick this bad boy up, put it right straight back into the holster. And now we're going to talk about the cardinal rules of firearm safety. Number one, treat all weapons as though they are loaded, which I've already told you that this one is. Number two, know your backstop and what is beyond your backstop. Here at this range, this is kind of a unique setup. The whole range is actually set up on a downhill angle. It goes out to about 300 yards. Have a large berm of very thick earthen mound behind us here. And behind that is just acres upon acres of woodlands. So there is no chance of anybody getting back through there because this is an entirely fenced off piece of property. So all of that I have working in my favor. So treat all firearms if they are loaded. Know my backstop and what is beyond the backstop. Don't point this weapon unless we're absolutely ready and willing to destroy what that thing is that we're pointing at. Well, if I don't do that, then I don't have a chance of accidentally shooting something or destroying something, be it a person or animal or whatever, that I didn't intend to. The final thing that we need to look at, only index the weapon when we're ready to pull the trigger. Keeping all the other three things in mind, I know at that point I'm now ready, willing, and able, and I know my backstop and what's beyond that backstop, and I'm willing to destroy that target that I've pressed out and pointed that weapon at. So, keeping all those in mind, we shouldn't ever have an accidental discharge of that weapon. There really is no accidental discharge. It is all intentional. It's just somebody didn't adhere to those 4 rules of firearm safety. So, firearms. I need to draw my weapon out. The first thing I want to do is I want to get a good purchase on the weapon in the holster. From here is where I then pull the weapon straight up, come up to about my chest here, kind of underneath the armpit. This hand, my offhand, already comes to the center line of my chest. From here I can roll this weapon out. If I cant this out slightly so I'm not impacting the slide directly into my chest, I could actually press a shot or two. After I've done that, I can then go ahead, and these hands kind of meet here in about the middle, and I press straight out. Notice even at this point, my trigger finger is still along the slide of the weapon. From here, even though I've pressed out, I still haven't gotten to that final stage of I'm willing to pull the trigger now and destroy what is in front of me. If I need to pull back in, I can. I simply bring the weapon muzzle down, finger is still off the slide of the weapon, and from here I can now maneuver around this weapon to survey the area looking for bad guys or whatever it is that I am looking to do. So as long as I keep all these cardinal safety rules in mind, I'm staying safe with this weapon. Even though I've got the weapon pointed down now, I'm still safe with this weapon. To return to the holster, again, I want to keep my head in an upright position. I want to know in muscle memory where that holster is and be able to secure the weapon straight back to that holster. I shouldn't have to look down and fumble for that holster. So that is a draw sequence that you should look to formalize into your specific training at home, making sure that you're understanding at least the basics, and then you can go from there. So what we don't want to see is a draw that looks like this, where you're kind of come out, I've come down, and I've got this bowling for dollars here. So this bowling action is something that I don't want to see. The other thing we don't want to see is where your elbows are flaring straight out, which turns the gun back towards me, and now I've got to kind of make this large U arc to bring the weapon back up. Economy of motion says from the holster, come straight up to my armpit, I rotate the barrel out. The weapon is immediately ready to be deployed if I need to in a close quarters situation. And then I press straight out and find my target from there and track that target down to the ground after I've sent some rounds, which we talked about in a previous video. Goes back to the holster. That's kind of the basic draw sequence that we're looking for. All right, guys, well, to see that from a bit of a different angle and actually have a target now, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I got my hearing protection in and make sure that the range line is clear. So from here, again, I come down and I find the holster. I come straight up. As I rotate forward, if the slide is rotated slightly out, from here, I can actually index the weapon and send a round towards our bad guy. From that point there, now I can start my press out, and as I start pressing out, still take multiple shots. If you were to look at this target right now, all of these shots are straight up the middle line of the target. So this is more of a close quarters combat fighting situation. And again, I go straight back to the holster. Finger was off the trigger when I do that, and I bring it back down to the holster. Our basic draw sequence that I want you to work on at home. Again, this comes straight down, I come straight up, I rotate this barrel out, and I start meeting with these hands here in the middle. When I get to the extreme of that draw sequence, now I can go ahead again, index the weapon, and fire a couple rounds. Slide locks back, go ahead and get my next magazine out. Over the top, and I lock the next round into the chamber of the weapon. From here, I can go ahead and either follow the bad guy down to the ground, or I can holster the weapon straight out. Okay, and again, as long as that finger is off that trigger well, when I come down to my holster, if I fumble with it for a second, that's fine. I still don't want to look down like this. I want to stay up, heads up, as I'm looking out towards the environment where that bad guy was. Then I can find the holster and bring that back in. Now my hands are free again. So those simple draw sequences are things that you should really practice when you're doing your firearms training at your house or at your local range, wherever that range may be. Understanding it is how that the weapon works, how you get back into your holster, are all things that you need to practice and learn how to do well and do well under a high-stress environment. All right, guys, well, that's all the time that I have today. I hope you've enjoyed this quick tip here on Two Feathers Survival, part of our urban series, and some of the draw sequences that you should incorporate into your training. Remember, guys, keep your knives sharp and your go bags close. Until next time, I'll see you then. Have a good day.